What's the worst parenting advice you've gotten from a so-called expert? The time a woman running our parenting group casually suggested locking toddlers in dark closets. Yeah, that actually happened. It all started during one of our weekly meetings. One of the moms, Raquel, asked for advice about her 2-year-old's bedtime meltdowns. Our group leader, Brenda, who called herself a parenting expert, leaned in with a weird smile and said, "You need to put him in the coat closet. It's dark and quiet, and he'll learn real quick that bad behavior has consequences." I felt sick just hearing it. I leaned over to whisper to the mom next to me, and I guess Brenda overheard because she whipped her head around and snapped, "What did you say?" I carefully said that maybe there were gentler ways to handle tantrums that didn't involve locking kids in closets. Brenda launched into a speech about how her dad used to lock her in the basement and how she used the same method with her 3 kids. That's when I stopped talking and started taking notes. Something about this lady just didn't sit right with me. The next week, another mom named Mackenzie asked for advice on her 6-month-old's sleep issues. Brenda confidently suggested putting a fluffy pillow and cozy blanket in the baby's crib to help them feel more secure. I almost screamed. That's a huge suffocation risk. But I bit my tongue, waited until class was over, and then quietly pulled Mackenzie aside to explain. Her face went pale, and she thanked me for saying something. By the 3rd week, I was messaging other parents privately. Turns out, I wasn't the only one who was uncomfortable. Most of them said they didn't want to speak up and cause drama, but they knew Brenda's advice didn't feel right. One dad, Jim, told me he'd been fact-checking everything she said, and almost all of it went against modern safety guidelines. Week 6 was the turning point. A mom named Gwen was crying about her colicky twins. Brenda calmly told her to just let them cry it out. Put them in their cribs, close the door, and don't go back in until they stop, even if it takes all night. She said it like she was talking about a puppy, not babies. That's when I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I told Gwen not to listen. That wasn't sleep training. That was emotional neglect. Brenda stood up so fast her chair screeched across the floor. She started yelling about how I was always undermining her with internet psychology. I fired back that preventing child harm isn't garbage, that it's backed by research and actual safety standards. Then Brenda shouted something like, "I raised 2 perfect kids this way, and I don't need some know-it-all telling me how to parent." But hold up, she'd always claimed to have 3 kids. Jim slowly raised his hand and said, "Didn't you say you had 3 kids?" Brenda froze. Then she started stumbling over her words, saying one of them was different, or not really around anymore. Jim pressed again, and she completely snapped, screaming about how she didn't owe us any explanations, and that she had raised wonderful kids and didn't need our judgment. That's when Jim dropped the line I'll never forget. "I'm not taking parenting advice from someone whose kids don't even exist." The room went totally silent. Brenda's face changed a dozen colors in 5 seconds. Then she kicked both of us out of the group. 20 minutes later, Jim and I were in the director's office, Dr. Valencia, handing over all the notes I'd been keeping. Her face went white as she read it all, and she immediately called the state licensing board. Turns out, Brenda's advice wasn't just outdated, it was dangerous and could get the entire program shut down. Through the glass window, I saw Brenda pacing like a caged animal. When Dr. Valencia called her in and asked about the inconsistencies in her background, Brenda completely lost it. She screamed about helicopter parents ruining kids these days, how no one disciplines anymore, and how she'd been doing this for 20 years and knew better than any of us. Dr. Valencia calmly told her she was fired on the spot and permanently banned from all community programs. Brenda stormed out, shouting, "You'll all regret this when your spoiled kids grow up useless. I tried to teach you real parenting." 2 weeks later, the state officially revoked her license. And get this, she'd been fired from 7 different facilities across 3 states. And no, she didn't have kids. Not even one. So yeah, next time someone calls themselves a parenting expert, I ask a few more questions.